Awesome, Trent. So Sprint was 2021 and high
Hmm.
performance. You've literally just launched 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Tell me about the aha moments that led you to high performance and what led you to produce that one.
Well, it's funny if you look at it as an equation. Sprint recruiting is the how, and in Sprint, in the book, I talk a little bit about the who and the what, but I don't really get into it like I do in high performance recruiting. And I guess this was birthed because I was doing a lot of internal coaching on performance and how to lead number one, what is a high performance team? But then two, how do you lead those teams and how do you recruit and retain those high performers? And it was just one of those where I said, you know what, I'm just going to tinker around with this. So I started with a couple of blog posts, and then I kept coming back to these 7 traits. And so I wrote that part thinking, okay, that's the end of the book. But then I thought, all right, there's actually 7 environments that I have found that high performers work really well in. So I wrote that part, and then of course throughout all of it, I'm like, when this is what kind of leader you need to be, and this is what kind of leader. And so then it evolved into 7 leadership styles. So it's high performance teams, the 7 traits, 7 environments, and 7 leadership styles that you need to be successful. And it's not scientific. So I read a ton of psychology stuff. Again, self-professed nerd, so it wasn't a pain in the butt for me. It was just really fun, kind of fascinating how the brain works and how people are different. But this was kind of looking at, okay, what are the studies saying? And then what have I seen both in teams that I've managed, teams that I've been a part of that I would qualify as high performers, and then also working with organizations to be able to develop that high performance mantra. What are some of the things that they're seeing in their recruiters? And so that's kind of where I came up with the seven traits. So they are goal oriented, respectful conflict, accountability, grit, adaptability, intellectually curious, and then bursty communication. So some of those are self-explanatory. Goal oriented, I already hinted at it. It's just the way the brain works. I like to tell the story. I think it was right before Christmas. Just like how goal-oriented people, like their brains work. My husband and I were going to a Christmas party somewhere in Midtown, in an area that I not ever been. So I put on Apple Maps, and we were getting there, and at one point he says, "You have cut off 3 people. You have like run 3 different red lights." He goes, "What is your deal?" And I kid you not, it was in that moment, it was like a light bulb. I said, I am competing with Apple Maps because it said I should be there at 8:15. I was trying to get there by 8:12. It's just like everything's a competition. That's where we get our motivation.
Yeah.
Respectful conflict. Higher performers are passionate about what they do. If anyone has ever worked with a very passionate recruiter, they are damn good at what they do, but they can be a huge pain in the butt if you misunderstand where their passion's coming from. So you get a group of them together, and it's going to sound like they're having a knockdown drag out. They're not. Their passion level is so much higher, and they want to solve the problem, and they want to solve it together, and everyone has an opinion on how to do it. So, that respectful conflict is very, very healthy. If you go into a meeting and everyone's just doing groupthink, that's not going to be the best way to be able to solve a problem. You want different viewpoints. You want different avenues to be able to try. Grit. Um, it's tenacity. They're just not going to let something go. They are going to fill that position if it is the last thing that they do. And it's just how they're hardwired. And the accountability part's pretty self-explanatory. That's one of the things about sprint recruiting that a lot of high performance teams likes is that there's mutual accountability. It's not just on recruiting. They're also highly adaptable and intellectually curious. So growing up, I always got called the Riddler because I always asked why. Actually, in second grade, I was in a Catholic school and asked why a couple of too many times and found myself talking to the priest. So it's just like how most high performance teams, they'll say, how can we do this better? Why is this not working? And they can't settle until they get an answer to that, and they'll just dig into it. But the organization benefits as a result of that. And they also apply that to their job search. Um, Describe the perfect candidate for me. And as they're doing it, they're going to start asking, okay, well, why are you looking for this? Where would I find this person? They're going to have totally different ways about constructing that search. And then bursty communication. I had a high performance team and I made the mistake of not putting a lot of breaks in our offsite. And it was like the room got very restless. And I could tell, okay, now it's time for a break. But they like bursty communication. If you've got a group chat, you'll have your high performer that'll come in, ask a question, get their answer, and hop right back to work. They don't want to sit there and dilly-dally around it. So it's a very quick burst of communication, but it's all in about solving the problem and accomplishing a goal.